All set?
Hardest thing is to keep your hat on. That should do it. Trail.
I feel like killing you, brother.
No, just another day at the office.
Welcome to a new episode of the Movie Dawgs Show. All right, we're still floating around here in the 1980s, and today we're going to talk about the 1989 classic Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Came out in 89, as I said, stars Harrison Ford, Sean Connery, and of course, as you can see here, River Phoenix as a young Indiana Jones. It's actually my favorite part of the film. I mean, I love the film altogether as a whole, but I absolutely love this segment. It was at the beginning of the film, showed the origins of Indiana Jones during his first major adventure as a young man. You find out where he got that scar on his chin, as you can see here, where he got the hat, and basically just showing that he was an adventurous kid. River Phoenix, was handpicked by Harrison Ford because they worked together in the Mosquito Coast. And Harrison Ford said he resembled him as a young man and did all his mannerisms that Harrison Ford was famous for. As you can see right here, that look and that smirk that he has there, he was able to mimic that very well. You can see this is where he gets the hat, and of course it's a flashback. Indiana Jones finds himself in trouble, and he's getting that artifact that he was trying to get as a kid. And of course, then what happens is that he gets entangled into looking for the Holy Grail as a wealthy American socialite. Walter Donovan tells him that he needs his help because the guy who was looking for it is his father, and his father's missing. So the search, more or less, isn't about the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail in this film is actually a MacGuffin. That's a Hitchcockian term. Look it up, folks. But we get Sean Connery as Professor Henry Jones. And this is one of the reasons why Indiana Jones was made with Steven Spielberg. Lucas and Spielberg were on the beach, and they were talking about what they wanted to do next. Spielberg always wanted to direct a Bond film, which I still think he should. And, of course, his favorite Bond for him was Sean Connery. So who better to be Indiana Jones's dad than James Bond? And Harrison Ford and Sean Connery had such a great chemistry together. I hate the fact that Connery never came back in Crystal Skull or anything like that. I mean, sadly, he's passed away several years ago, or a few years ago now. But again, he was just so great, and the flavor just added to the film itself, just being an event film altogether. It was just, I really enjoyed Sean Connery's performance, and I wish he had gotten nominated for it. It would have been great if he got nominated for this role. Of course, you got Sala coming back, and then you also have Marcus Brody in the film as well to be out on the adventure with them. That it was a great ensemble piece as the film hit its stride in the end of the second act. It really started hitting in. There's so much great action in this film. And some humor too, which always goes well when it comes to these Indiana Jones films. The humor and the action, the drama, the suspense. It was one. They really don't make films like this anymore, and I don't understand why a lot of people hated Crystal Skull. I felt it added on to the timeline, and these movies were based in the 1940s. That's why these films are different from the original three. But again, Lucas and Spielberg's magic is at its highest peak here in this film. As you can see the action here, but man, I absolutely love this film. This year was 89 was filled with a lot of films, which I'm going to touch in on a future episode of that year. But there was a lot of sequels and a lot of big high profile films that and a lot of the sequels didn't do well, but this was one of them that knocked it out of the ballpark. It was one of the highest grossing films of 89, and Batman, Lethal Weapon, Back to the Future 2, there was a lot of them out there. Star Trek 5, Karate Kid 3, a lot of them didn't do well. But the set pieces, and again, those small little moments, the Indian and, his father had just really made it work. And the villains were really great in here. They weren't over the top, and they were very subtle and methodical and cool, as you can see here. And then, of course, the leading lady who played Elsa was played by Alison Dooley. She was like just 20, 21 at the time. Harrison Ford was well into his 40s by the time he made this film, I believe. And Sean Connery was only 10 years older. So, he had some reservations at first about playing, a father. But again, the Holy Grail itself was just a MacGuffin, but it was still that search. And, a lot of people always thought it should have been called the Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail, but The Last Crusade was a perfect title. And yeah, maybe it should have been the last film. But again, originally these films were meant to be 5 films when Lucas made the original deal. So, but there was this really cool scene about the forced perspective, with the bridge that looked like it was painted. And of course, the knights here, saying, you must choose wisely. And then after, the main villain drinks from the wrong grail, of course, with a really cool scene that almost tops the ending too. The villains of Raiders, losing all his life because he drank from the wrong grail, and the knight just plumb out coldly says, "He chose poorly." So I love that scene and that line. But one of the lines I have to say that stands out real well in this film, though, is towards the end when Indiana Jones is trying to get a hold of the Grail after Elsa has fallen to her death, and he's still trying to grab a hold of the Grail. And Henry Jones, his dad, who had been looking for the Grail his whole life and made it an obsession, is telling him to let go. It's plain and simple. And hearing that from his father, it made him, grab a hold of his father's hands, and they were able to escape the caverns that were collapsing because the Grail was taken further than it should have been. But there was this great scene also with this one line where he goes, "What did you find, Dad?" And he's like, "Me? Illumination," which I think was the perfect line saying, you know what? No one needs to know what happened here today. And I always loved it, the way that delivery too, the way he kind of cocked his head like, you know what I mean? We ain't talking about this to anybody. And that was just a perfect way to, and of course, it's just the way the film ended, running off at the sunset. I have to say, it was one of my favorite shots in cinema ever. It's just such a beautiful sign. And just to sign off, what we thought was going to be the final film out of all this. Of course, almost 20 years later, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out. And now 15 years later, we've got a new film, The Dial of Destiny, coming out. But again, that ending shot with, Marcus Brody yelling, "Henry, Indy, follow me, I know the way, ah!" And he rides off of the horse, almost falling off. And of course, you find out, how Indiana Jones got his name. It was from the dog. And Sal's laughing, and he, begging his dad to stop calling him Junior. But again, to no prevail. My dad used to call me Junior all the time, and I hated it. So, every man needs his own individualization, if that's a real word. But the best scene, though, I think really is when he found out that him and his dad slept with the same woman. And, that was, bit of an embarrassment of riches of a scene there. I absolutely have to. I can. It's just, the way, his dad was kind of looking down a little bit embarrassed, but yet proud at the same time that, he was able to go to bed with this very beautiful young blonde. But again, folks, I have to, say, you got to check this film out if you have not. And again, if you're an Indiana Jones fan, just be an Indiana Jones fan. Don't overthink it. And these are movies for an adventure of a lifetime. And this is one of my favorite films. I think it's in my top 10. Again, really what, tops it off at the end is that ending shot, with Indiana Jones and his crew running off or riding off in the sunset. A lot of fans consider that to be the end of the Indiana Jones saga, but, it is what it is. Again, this shot right here, as you can see here, just, they're getting ready to run off into the sunset, and I absolutely love this scene. We'll see it here shortly, but again, never get old. So, but, man, here he is. That beautiful, God, that sunset's so beautiful. Director of photography was amazing. But that's all the time we got now, folks. Be sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe. We're still floating around in the 80s here in the DeLorean, folks. All right, folks, that's all the time we got here on the Movie Dawgs Show. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share throughout all social media, and also check out our sponsors. Thanks for watching, and keep on watching.
Beyond the darkness, beyond the human evolution, is Khan, a genetically superior tyrant. Exiled to a barren planet, banished by a starship commander he is destined to destroy. Left for dead, he has survived.
I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia and round the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's flames before I give him up. There she is. There she is.
Shield's collapsing, Captain. Can you evade their power? A few shots, sir.
Not enough against their shields.
The base is stubborn.
Scotty, I need warp speed in 3 minutes or we're all dead. I've done far worse than kill you. I've hurt you. And I wish to go on hurting you. I shall leave you as you left me, marooned for all eternity, buried alive, buried alive. Sean! Sean!
At the end of the universe lies the beginning of vengeance. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.